Another shooting in Paoli has left 2 people dead thus far, including a 3-year-old child. We'll tell you what happened. Plus, the battle continues between RECs and communities over territory and legislation. And Purdue Extension Agent Jan Dugan talks dining with diabetes tonight on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. We begin with another shooting in Paoli. This one has left the gunman and a 3-year-old child dead thus far, and 2 others remain in critical condition this evening. Sometime just after 5 o'clock last night, Indiana State Police say 33-year-old Melissa Randolph and her husband, 37-year-old Jeremy Gale, both of Paoli, got into a physical altercation at their home in the 500 block of North Helm Street. Now, state police say Gale attacked Randolph with a knife during the fight and wounded her several times. Police say the couple's 6-year-old son Leon Gale and a 3-year-old daughter Addison Gale came downstairs after hearing the fight. Jeremy Gale then shot the 2 children before shooting himself. A 3rd child inside of the residence was not harmed. Jeremy Gale was pronounced dead at the scene by the Orange County Coroner's Office. The 2 children were airlifted to Corsair Children's Hospital in Louisville, Kentucky. Now, state police say Addison Gale died at the hospital from her injuries, while Leon Gale is still in critical condition. Meanwhile, Randolph was airlifted to University of Louisville Hospital and later transferred to Corsair Children's Hospital to be with her children. Randolph also is listed in critical condition. State police are continuing to investigate this, and they are being assisted by Orange County Sheriff's deputies and Paoli police. Indiana State Police arrested a pair of Knox County men in connection with a vehicle that was recently reported stolen in Ferdinand. State Police received information yesterday about a hot 2000 GMC pickup truck that was possibly in the Vincennes area yesterday. A trooper spotted the truck at around 6:20 last night in a parking lot near the Marathon gas station near the intersection of 6th Street and Executive Boulevard. Police say 19-year-old Trevor Pritchard of Vincennes was driving the pickup along with a passenger, 27-year-old Brandon Weber, also of Vincennes. During a search of the vehicle, troopers found a syringe and drug paraphernalia. Further investigation revealed the vehicle had been reported stolen about 2 weeks ago from Ferdinand. The 2 men were then arrested and booked into the Knox County Jail. Pritchard is facing level 6 felonies for auto theft and possession of a syringe, along with a Class A misdemeanor for possession of drug paraphernalia. Meanwhile, Weber is also facing a level 6 felony for possession of a syringe and a Class A misdemeanor for possession of drug paraphernalia. Both men are currently being held on bond. An Indiana Senate bill that is at the center of a fight between rural electric cooperatives and communities is still garnering plenty of attention locally. At last night's Ferdinand Town Council meeting, Town Council President Ken Seacard announced that Senate Bill 309 passed out of the Senate's Utilities Committee on Monday. If approved, the bill would stipulate that any city or town that annexes land that is outside of the service area of its own electric company would not be able to provide its electrical service to that new area. The bill would affect any annexations that take place after May 12th of this year. Seacard maintains his stance that the bill would be bad for Ferdinand and other communities in DuBois County. He says the town will continue to fight for changes to the bill that would make it less of a detriment.
If this is what the bill looks like, let's have it so that if you do annex, the people in the annex area decide who supplies the electricity. So, I'm willing to support that. Chris and I are going to be doing some letter writing and some phone calling and just letting people know that the town of Ferdinand is definitely, against 309 as it currently sits. It's got to change in order to be right. It will be a definite hit against economic growth in the area if we can't get out there and supply the electricity for the annexed areas that we may go after.
Town officials were recently in Indianapolis at a legislative conference to discuss the issue. Meanwhile, DuBois REC General Manager Don Book told 18 News in a recent interview that the territory argument has been blown way out of proportion.
We serve areas that nobody else wanted at one time. And because of that, territory is fairly large. We have sure more land mass than the cities and towns, but the opportunities for development in the Hoosier National Forest, the Ferdinand Forest, it doesn't exist. And the government agencies that we work with in those areas can be sometimes challenging. And to look at the argument based on land mass is not the right way to view this.
Senate Bill 309 now goes to the full Senate. In other business, town officials signed off on a contract for the phosphorus reduction project at the wastewater treatment plant. Last month, the town approved a bid from Lagodi-based Midwestern engineers for the project. The cost will not exceed $143,000. Seacard says the project now needs to get moving in order to meet upcoming deadlines.
We have this August date that IDEM has set that everything has to be in place and be ready to be moving forward at that time. So we're going to have our work cut out for us next week, either later this week yet or next week. We're going to go out and look at our 3 areas, and then we'll come back and have a special meeting so we can sit down and talk about it, and then we'll make a decision. Okay, here's where we're going to go, and just see how it goes. But it's going to be a busy time.
Back in December, the council approved using drying beds as a storage method for sludge that would come out of the wastewater plant. The drying beds turned out to be the most inexpensive option for the council, as they would cost the town roughly $1.4 million. Other options would have cost nearly $1.7 million. This project is an unfunded mandate from the state. Jasper Engines and Transmissions has announced another new leadership appointment. The company says Judah DeLorenzo has accepted a job as assistant manager with the product development department. DeLorenzo has been with Jasper Engines since 2009 and has served in several different company capacities during that time. Most recently, he served as group leader over the Bill of Materials department and was in charge of cataloging, internal process auditing, and lifecycle management for that department. The company also announced that DeLorenzo has completed the requirements for becoming a certified quality auditor. Those requirements are laid out by the Certification Board of the American Society of Quality. Vincennes University Jasper campus Dean Dr. Alan Johnson has been honored for his efforts in improving the environment. Johnson has been presented with the Friend of Conservation Award from the Indiana Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts. Johnson was honored for his work in creating and sustaining the Land Stewardship Initiative at VUJC. The initiative is a partnership between VUJC and the Du Bois County Soil and Water Conservation District. The goals are to promote soil health to the community while developing a respected demonstration and education area. The SWCD manages the cropland, woodland, and managed prairie on the VUJC campus, and the profit from the cash crops is used to further the mission of the project. Conservation practices that complement the no-till cropping system have been installed and are being used to reduce erosion and manage various nutrient loss. Officials in Vincennes who received a 3% raise due to a clerical error will continue drawing that extra pay until the fate of raises for the city's other employees is determined. The Southwestern Indiana Cities Council submitted a budget to the State Department of Local Government Finance calling for 3% raises, although the council adopted an ordinance barring the raises unless the state agency allowed for them. A clerical error left the council members out of the ordinance's language. They received the raise at the start of 2015. Council members plan to keep the raises for now as they and Mayor Joe Yoakum search the city budget for about $200,000 in cuts that are needed to provide raises to all city employees. And finally tonight, an Indiana Senate committee is considering a bill that would require drug offenders to obtain a prescription before purchasing a common cold and allergy medicine. Corrections and Criminal Law Committee members discussed a proposal yesterday that would require courts to report anyone with a felony drug conviction to an electronic system. Those on the list would need prescriptions to purchase pseudoephedrine, which is a key ingredient in the meth-making process. The measure is a less restrictive version of similar legislation that would make pseudoephedrine a prescription-only drug for all consumers. Supporters say the bill targets criminals already misusing drugs. Meanwhile, opponents have argued the requirement would burden primary care doctors during the busy cold and flu season, and someone without a drug conviction could mistakenly wind up on that list. All right, coming up on the other side of this break, your local forecast, sports with Kurt Gooksell, and Inform. We're local people watching local people.